welcome, everybody. I am excited. I am very, very, very excited today. We're going to have a real good interview today. We're going to meet the beautiful Miss Raya. Raya lives in Atlanta. She's a very, very beautiful young lady. She's going to talk about her history, her experiences with dating, things that she's been going through within the Atlanta area. We're going to just have a nice little discussion talking about those things and kind of see where she's at, where she wants to go. You know, me being Coach D. Durrell, I'm going to, put my fingers and put my perspective into things and kind of give her a better perspective and maybe some tools and tips and things as she moves forward. And so before I get to that, I just want to let you know, guys, I appreciate everybody that has supported my channel, Coach D. Durrell channel, TV. I appreciate you all for the subscribers that I have obtained since doing these interviews, talking about dating. And I'm kind of trying to cook up some live streams that I'm thinking about doing. I may talk about the Passport Brothers. I may talk about other different things going on in social media entertaining as it relates to dating, love, marriage, and etc. But it is coming. But from this point, I'm going to continue to do these interviews, continue to do the uploads, talking about those particular topics. So at this point, guys, I would like you to meet the beautiful Miss Raya of Eve. How you doing? How you doing, Queen?
I'm doing amazing. How are you?
I am excellent. I am excellent today, and very much so being in the presence of you. At this point, Miss Raya, we, are going to talk about a variety of things, okay? And as it relates to you, you're the object of attention. So what we're going to focus on is your experiencing with dating, what's been going on presently for you. What are you looking for in the future? I'm gonna kind of pick your brain about, serious relationships that didn't last. What have been the problems? What can I work on? So we're gonna kind of cover all those things. So before we get started, Rhea, I would definitely like you to let everybody know about you and your social media, as far as your presence in the social media.
Okay, so my name is Raya of Eve. I am a polyamory educator. I teach people how to navigate polyamory, and I am obviously a polyamorous woman. So, yeah, you want to know more about that? Hit me up.
Okay, definitely. Now, what I've also planned to do, are you on more than Instagram? Because I seen the Instagram stuff. Now, are you on any other platforms? So what I can do is I'm going to definitely, if you are on other platforms, I can definitely post that in the information box once I do the editing and things of that sort. So, if there's any other places where we can see you besides Instagram?
Yes, you can find me on YouTube and TikTok at Raya of Eve. All you got to do is search Raya of Eve, and I will come up.
Great, wonderful. So now, being that you are polyamorous, that's a very interesting perspective on dating, marriage, because there are polyamorous. There has been an increase in polyamorous relationships, particularly in the last 10 years, and you are an educator of it. So, being that you come from that perspective, we're going to talk about that in the form of, I would say, multiple people, but two or more people, I would say, engaging in whatever type of relationship that you all agreed upon. Now, what I would like to know is, when did you begin going into that lifestyle?
I have been polyamorous now for 7 years. So I have known that I was polyamorous ever since I was 20 years old. I'm 27 now.
Okay.
Yeah, I've been going strong ever since.
Okay, so what happened to monogamy? Because I do preach monogamy. That's something I do teach. Now, what I do say, I just want you to understand that I'm not against polyamory, polygamy, any other alternative like relationship. What I am a proponent of, no matter what type of relationship or institution that you want to navigate, there has to be open communication, honesty, loyalty. There still has to be certain fundamental aspects in any relationship. So before you were, let's say, you started at the age of 20, when were you engaging in monogamous relationships, or it didn't work for you? How did you feel about that?
Oh, yeah, I did try monogamous relationships. And I'm going to be honest, I was a big cheater. I was a cheater.
Okay.
Yeah, I struggled with that. And I also saw in my past my father being a cheater and struggling with monogamy himself. And viewing my parents' relationship, I know that my dad loved my mom very much, but
Okay.
he struggled with the desire to have multiple relationships. And that ultimately destroyed their marriage. So for me, I've always been a little bit skeptical of monogamy coming from my.
Okay. Okay. So are you telling me that your father's relationship with your mother was heavily influential on whether or not you felt that monogamous relationships are realistic in this day and age?
Oh, definitely. Like, I definitely feel like monogamy is unrealistic for a lot of people. I feel like
Okay.
for the vast majority of people, especially men, I feel like men are not raised, groomed, or socialized into being truly monogamous.
And I agree. And that's something that I actually talk about in certain spaces that I've been in. And I said that when we look at monogamy in the Black community, and one of the reasons why monogamy is at an all-time low is particularly because um, Black males are not raised to be monogamous.
Mhm.
They are actually praised for being players or having multiple girls. This is starting at the age, of I'm talking teenage years, early years of dating. There seems to be a more of a praise for having, for being a player mag, all those different connotations that were given, and and if you're growing up in that type of culture, and then all of a sudden, when you become a man, you're expected to stick with one woman. That's hard to transition from that. As opposed to little girls at the age of 3, 4, 5, they have, little wedding dresses on and little baby dolls, basically, kind of grooming them for marriage. That's a
Mhm.
difference. So there are societal and cultural aspects that do influence it. Obviously, for your situation, your household, as far as what you've seen, and as far as seeing your mom and dad, that kind of influence whether or not you felt like monogamy is something for you,
Mhm.
and whether or not it's something for the guy or guys that you want to be with per se.
Absolutely.
Okay, now when did you start to figure out that monogamy is, now you said you cheated a lot, okay, and I get that, but
Yeah.
even though you cheated a lot, where did it kind of kick in or kind of register with you that um I may want to be with somebody that's made more open to other alternative lifestyles, as far as so when did that start to kick in?
Okay, so it happened when I discovered my sexuality. I realized that I liked women. So
Okay.
I realized I liked women. I got into a relationship with a woman,
Okay.
and things didn't work out with us. It was a bit tumultuous and everything. So, but towards the end of that relationship, she and I were kind of on the rocks, but we were still together. And
Okay.
I remember meeting a guy and getting to know him, and it was okay because since we were on the rocks, it wasn't like we were committed to each other. We weren't living together anymore or whatever. So I was free to explore other options, just as she was free to explore other options.
Okay.
And I remember meeting a guy and really liking him, and I just remember feeling so supported having both of those romantic relationships at the same time. I was like, oh, this feels nice. And I've been on
Okay.
ever since.
So both of them are okay with you having another partner.
Absolutely.
Okay, so when you saw that type of situation, you felt that this may be the type of um, situation that's more beneficial for me, that's more comfortable for me.
Absolutely.
Okay, now with that being said, is there a situation as far as someone being married? Would that still apply as far as you being married and having that other person? Um,
Absolutely.
okay.
Absolutely. I plan to
Have
be.
you ever been married before?
No, I haven't been married.
Okay. Is that something that you inspired to, or are you just comfortable with the way things as far as being in non-married or but maybe committed polyamorous um, relationships?
I would like to be married, but I feel like for me, there's so many variables. Like, say, for
Right.
instance, I have a male partner and we love
Okay.
each other. but we meet a female partner who lives in another country and we want her to join our family. Just hypothetically.
Okay.
That person would then have to marry me or marry my significant other in order for them to be able to gain entry to the country. And
Right.
that's just one example in which me being married to my primary partner, that's what I call the man in my life. I call him my primary partner. Me being
Okay.
married to him on paper may be impossible because of other variables. But like, I believe more so in a spiritual union. And I believe that I can have a spiritual union with all of my partners.
Okay. Now, and I do understand that, and I do talk about that in my content. I talk about spiritual unions, and I talk about legal unions and things of that sort. Now, for myself, I do my channel. Whether you are in an alternative lifestyle or monogamous, I do pretty much advocate for marriage, and so yes, and I look at it from the standpoint not necessarily from as far as the spiritual aspects of and emotional aspects of things. I'm also looking at the fact that when you are in a marriage or you in relationship, there's also a business and legal side and a legacy side of things. And I do know that when people think of relationships, they primarily focus on the interactiveness between a male female or male male or whatever scenarios that you may have. But there's also, as far as medical directives and things of that sort, those are things that to me, when you get married, kick in, and it makes it easier for things to be done. So I do get that. And I think it sounds like to me, you're kind of, and then you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think you kind of sounds like you're looking for a scenario that can allow you to do those things if it presents itself. But if it doesn't, I'm fine either way it goes.
Absolutely.
Okay. Okay. Good. Okay. So, would you classify yourself as far as your sexuality as being bisexual, or you consider yourself more straight, just like females, or you don't have a definition for yourself, or it's just you know whatever I consider myself is what it is, whatever you know.
No, I do have a label that feels comfortable for me. I
Okay.
consider myself to be pansexual, meaning
Okay.
I'm attracted to people regardless of their gender.
Okay. Okay. So you consider now. When did you become comfortable with that label itself?
Oh, that's a good question. Probably like in the past 3 years, 2 or 3 years. It's been relatively recent.
Okay. Now you did state that you are an educator for polyamory, and so I would consider that you have educated yourself and went through some a great deal of scholarship per se in this area. This area is particularly, is it more within the culture of the United States? Because it does sound like you do travel to meet people too. So is this more of an international thing, or is more of an American thing per se for yourself?
I think polyamory is something that transcends the bounds of national boundaries. I believe
Okay.
polyamory is something that has more to do with a person's spirit, a person's desire, a person's belief when it comes to love. So I definitely think
Okay.
it transcends national boundaries.
Okay. Okay. Good. Good. Now, as I want to kind of piggyback to the monogamous relationships that kind of spun you into this direction, and so as I'm hearing you, what I'm listening and what I'm seeing is that there seems to be a combination of household influences, your own personal romantic influences, and then the fact that as you explored your sexuality as far as liking women and then seeing how that can somewhat the pieces kind of went together as a puzzle. This kind of makes up what I like, what I'm comfortable with, and those things happen over time per se.
Yeah, that sounds.
So, oh, go ahead. What'd you say?
Oh no, I said that's fair to say.
Okay. So, kind of talk to me about um, the issues that you had in staying faithful. Is it more or less the fact that you may not was into the guy, or was it more of a sexual thing that you felt like you needed more than one man, or was it a combination of a variety of things, or you wasn't emotionally connecting?
No, I think it was a combination of things. I think it was sometimes a loss of interest in the person, but I think it was oftentimes just me seeking something more and finding that in
Okay.
another. And here's the thing. I believe that it is very, very, very extremely exponentially hard or difficult for one person to satisfy everything or to be everything for you. I
Okay.
feel like I feel like for a lot of people we have a lot of love to give, and we're better suited for relationships with multiple people, and I feel like that applies to me.
Okay. Now you do understand now, as because I can see now people in the comment section watching this, because I have people that they can be very vocal in the comment section and so on.
Okay.
There are going to be a lot of women that are going to look at this from a side eye, from a woman saying, I don't believe one person. I'm saying that from my perspective, you know you better than anybody, and you're in a situation. To me, the way I look at it is this. The position that you're taking comes from a position of your truth based on your honesty and communication
Mm-hmm.
with your partners. So there's no lying involved. There's no sneaking
No,
around. There's no lying. There's no deception. And
I
so
not.
that's the difference, as opposed to people who don't know someone is cheating or someone is playing around and doing other different things. So what would you say to those that would take issue to, because there are a lot of women who are against that and they would not be okay with this type of lifestyle, particularly from a woman saying that I don't believe that one person can please me per se. I need multiple people and I want to share my love with with multiple people.
Yeah.
Because see, my position, and I know understand this. There's only a certain percentage of people who are actually open to this type of behavior or this type of institution. So I also would like to ask you this question.
Mm-hmm.
Did you ever get or was ever involved or experimented with the swinger lifestyle? Because that's kind of, I'm not gonna say it's similar because it's more sexual. Yours is more from a spiritual relationship in conjunction with the sexual aspects. So did you ever experiment with that?
I never have been a swinger.
Wow, really?
Really, and this is gonna blow your
Okay.
mind, but
Okay.
casual sex doesn't interest me. I'm not interested in casual sex. It does nothing for me. I learned that as well at a very young age. And I want to tell the people that are listening, the people in the chat, polyamory and swinging are extremely different. They are very
Define the differences so they can be educated on that.
swinging is when you go to a party, maybe like a key party, you put your keys in a bowl, mix them up, grab a key. Oh, I'm going to sleep with this random person tonight. Then you go home to your husband and you forget about them as if it never happened. Polyamory is when you have intimate emotional connections with more than one people. You have romantic relationships with more than one person. You have intimacy with more than one person. It's not about sex. Polyamory is not predicated on sex. There are asexual people, people who don't even desire sex at all, who are polyamorous. Polyamory is not about sex solely.
Okay. Now, I'm going to say this. Now, I'm going to speak, and what you're saying, I can understand it from your perspective. Now, I do know people who actually participated. The reason why I'm asking you the questions in the manner, because I'm kind of trying to see the similarities of people that I know that engage in these type of relationships, as opposed to your experience. I know everybody has their own journey. And so I don't have any issues with it because you're free to practice what you practice. Now, what I've seen 99% of the times is a situation that kind of sounds similar to what you described, where there's a guy and two bisexual or pansexual women that are involved. I've never seen a situation where there were three women or three men, or let's say two men and one woman. Although I did learn of one, but usually in those situations, particularly in our community, I'm usually seeing a situation where there's a man, and whether or not, he's he's in love with one person and he's with the other. But I usually see a situation where there's a man and two bisexual women that are pansexual women or whatever. That's usually what I see. Is that kind of consistent with what you may see most of the time, or is it more scenarios?
I think that is what is publicized because
Okay.
that is what is more congruent to monogamy. And I think that's
Okay.
easier to digest. I feel like it's easier for people to understand a man with two women and be accepting of that than it is a woman and two men. But Kenya K. Stevens, that's a woman, a brilliant woman who has two husbands. There's a guy, a famous drag queen named Bob. He has two boyfriends. And these things aren't publicized as much because here's the thing: when a woman has two men, she is going to be called every name in the book by women and men.
Okay.
And those men are going to be called weak. They're going to be called simps. They're going to be called less than. They're going to be called non-men. There's so much more flack that comes with these types of unions. And this is the reason why these people choose to keep their love in private. But me being in the industry and working with these people, speaking with these people, learning from these people, I see every flavor of polyamory possible. But when we talk about what's on Instagram or what's on TV, yeah, it's going to be a man with two women most of the time.
Right. Okay. So when you see that, it sounds like to me that you feel that there's a level of saturation with that setup, and that people need to see more of a variety of what that community really is made up of. There's more scenarios than the man and two women package. That's pretty much character, kind of the main characterization of polyamory. Now, before you went into this, because basically you basically came into this, to the realization of this at an early age, around 20 years old.
Mhm.
Would you say that most of your monogamous relationships were your fault, the mixture of two people, or it was the guy's situation? Now you mentioned, you admitted to a lot of cheating. So
Yeah.
what do you think it was? Was it more or less you think that, hey, I was just struggling to function in relationships that were not congruent to the behaviors that I would like to practice per se?
I think it was a combination of both. I think it was definitely deep rooted issues within myself with a combination of poor communication and emotional intelligence on behalf of my partners at that time. I think
Okay.
that it was a combination of both.
Now, when you talk about, you know, and you pretty much highlighted that, you know, there's a difference between swinging, difference between polyamorous and polyamorous behavior, and you clarified as far as I am not for casual sex per
Yeah,
se.
for me.
So okay, for you, so walk me through like um, what that process for you to be sexual or affectionate with a person. What does that look like? Is there more of a long-term vetting process? Is there more of I go with the flows type situation? If we connect, we connect. Or if I'm going to be with you from a affectionate, emotional standpoint, we must have an understanding of this being a long-term situation. Kind of walk me to what that looks like for you.
There's definitely a vetting process that comes along with that.
Okay.
There's definitely time. I'm not going to put a specific time limit on it, but there's definitely time that has to
So
go by.
there's no 90-day rule.
Yeah, there's no 90-day rule.
Ooh, there's a lot of guys that would like that.
But not necessarily a 90-day rule. Sometimes it might be a 120-day rule. It just
Oh,
depends on the
wow.
person. Yeah, it
Okay.
depends on the person. It depends on my bond with them. It depends on my connection with them. So no, when I say that I have multiple partners or I date multiple people, I am dating them. Sometimes it doesn't even lead to sex at all. Sometimes I can have a relationship that never goes there. It's not
Right.
about that. Like that's not the core of what I'm doing in my polyamorous life.
So my question is that vetting process the same for women as men, or is it different?
Well, it's gonna be a little bit different because I'm more attracted to women than I am to men. So
Okay.
just from a visceral physical standpoint, I'm more attracted to women. So
Okay.
it's going to always be a little bit different, my interactions with women than my interactions with men.
Okay. So are you saying that the vetting process is a little relaxed with women as opposed to men?
I'm going to say it's a little more lenient, a little more lenient. Yes.
Okay, so what that's basically saying with men, you're a little bit, because you are not. It's not, to me. It's not that you're not attracted. It's that you're just, your preference probably
Is
is more or less women.
To be
Okay,
honest, I'm going to be honest. I've never had multiple men in my polyamorous relationships. It's always just been one man for me. That's been enough for me in my experience so far.
okay,
Now, is there a lock on me where it's like, oh no, I cannot date men? I'm allowed to do whatever I want to do because no one can allow me. I'm my own autonomous human being. But so far, there have not been other men to enter into my relationships.
okay. Cool. So, do you have any desire for children?
I feel like this. Maybe I will have children, maybe I won't. I'm more so following the path that the universe has set out for me. I'm not going to try to force anything because, as you know, women, I'm 27, so I still have a lot of time. But women, we have a small window in order to make that happen.
Okay,
And I'm not going to have children and married. But if that is unable to happen for me, I'm perfectly fine with moving forward and not having kids.
okay. So kids is not necessarily a priority for you. It's more of a natural flow of things. If it occurs, great. But if it doesn't, it doesn't, per
Exactly.
se. Okay,
Exactly.
cool. So let's talk about the sexual and affectionate aspect of things. And obviously, you connect with women more than men, per se, based on what I'm gathering from you. So, is there a situation where it's more of a mutual situation of we're all together at one time, or certain days, or whatever the day for, like if I want to be with so and so, we just make that decision, or how does that work as far as how we decide to be affectionate and sexual with one another in a three-party situation?
Well, we don't have a calendar. We don't have
Okay.
a schedule. No. It more so just goes just like how in a monogamous relationship, most people don't have a schedule. Most people don't have the
Well,
days.
well, well actually, in monogamous relationships, as things get older, they do create some level of schedule. I just
Oh
want to,
God.
listen, and I understand, but I'm gonna say this, particularly when a lot of marriage, and this is a sign of marriages getting kind of stale, and you need to or long term relationships. A lot of relationships, particularly when there's children, multiple children involved, or people are entering towards their mid to late 30s, early 40s, they do prioritize and say, oh, we're going to have sex on Saturdays once a week, or that is something that it's a lot more common than what you think. And I know this as a person who has engaged in marital therapy for as a therapist for over 15 years. There are people who prioritize and schedule sex. It's more common. It's not like, okay, I'm gonna put it in a calendar, but there are people who say, we wait till the weekends to have sex, or we wait on a Friday night or Saturday or whatever when the kids ain't here, and think, or we do. There are, matter of fact, I had a situation with a lady, a Caucasian lady that came from me for marital therapy, in which she prioritized to have sex. She has three children. The children, a lot that they have very busy lives, and she prioritized on the weekends that they do activities, and then they end the day with sex. This was like, and they she struggled with trying to fit sex into their schedule because she was tired all the time. So
Wow.
it's a lot more common than what you think. I just want to make that note to you.
Okay.
But go ahead. Go
Well,
ahead.
definitely take your word for it. I just hope that I never get to that point. So fingers crossed. But
Well,
no, go ahead.
no. What I was gonna say was that yeah, it's people don't talk about it, but couples do. Um, they prioritize this a lot more than what we think they do. They prioritize sex. They prioritize when they get together and spend time with each other because of their day being so congested.
Oh wow.
Yeah, but go
Wow.
ahead. I'm gonna let you go. I know that's a surprise, but yeah.
Yeah. So let's say for monogamous couples early on, just like how they will decide to have sex at whim, depending on when they're in the mood, depending on this, depending on that,
Right.
what's going on. That's kind of how our situation works. It's not a, okay, we all have to be together all the time. Maybe sometimes I'll be with her alone. Maybe sometimes he'll be with her alone. Maybe sometimes we'll be together alone. Like it just depends. And sometimes we're all together, but it's not a situation of, okay, we have to schedule and make sure that we do this at this time.
Everybody get it in when they want it, you know.
Exactly.
We're arguing over the other girl, like, oh, I wanted her tonight. No, you.
It does not work like that.
No,
No.
I'm just joking. Oh, but I will say this. Let's say this. It sounds like to me in your situation, it's more of a very free flowing situation where it just happens organically. When we're in the mood, we're in the mood, or we want it, and it just happens.
Yes, exactly.
Okay. So, um, what if your male partner or your female partner wanted extra extra affairs? How do you communicate that, or is that something that you approve of?
That's something that we would have to discuss because in polyamorous relationships, it's very, very, very extremely important that we're protecting ourselves.
Okay.
So if a person wants to have outside relations, that's something that is the business of the entire unit. So
Right.
we would definitely deal with that on a case by case basis, depending on the situation, depending on the person, depending on there's so many variables.
Okay.
But that's not something that it's just a free for all. You can just go out and do
Right.
what you want. No, it
Right.
doesn't work that way.
Right. Now I'm gonna say this. I have zero experience, and I've counseled a lot of different situations with people swinging, living people who are sex workers in marriages, and I've never counseled a union of three people or more people before. And I'm
Oh,
surprised because in Houston there's people that goes on a lot. There's a lot of alternative type situations. I've never had a polyamorous situation. Now, what I did have was a situation where I don't consider it polyamorous because it was just basically an understanding
mm-hmm.
of a guy being with two different women, but there was no union between the other women. So
Okay.
it's kind of like he had two households. They all were friends. But the two women never really because to me, when I look at it, I've seen situations like I know a person in a polyamorous situation where the women are with him, but they don't have sex with each other. They just are in a union of and they and so on, and they're kind of like sister wives type situation.
Mm-hmm.
But they don't bond in there with their friends. They do things together. They do activities. They have kids. They all that different stuff. But they don't necessarily engage with each other. They basically just they're with their husband or their lover or whatever you want to label it. But I've only had a situation where a guy basically was managing two households. They
Mm-hmm.
knew of each other. He was financially secure. I also, and I don't know how you feel about this from the financial standpoint, but particularly in these type of, I strongly encourage men, and I don't know how important the financial aspect of things are, but I do encourage men to be financially astute if you're engaging in these type of multiple, because if you're not, I've seen a lot of situations get real messy over finances.
Mm-hmm.
How do you feel about that?
I mean, I definitely agree with you. I feel like everyone involved needs to be financially astute. Um,
Okay.
I do not believe if we're talking about situations where a man has multiple women, I do not believe that a man should have multiple women if he's broke. If he cannot afford
I have to laugh at that just just to hear you say that because I'm just saying it, but it's the truth. I'm gonna be honest. When I'm just visualizing the comments that are going to be said when people see this premiere. They're gonna have a lot to say. But go ahead.
Yeah, like if you're broke, it's not for you. Like, I'm sorry. Like,
Okay.
if you want to have multiple women, you need to be able to take care of multiple women. Period. You need to be able
Right.
to be that masculine presence, that masculine force, that protection, that provision. You need to be able to provide that. So, as far as men who are pinching pennies, trying to have multiple, no, it's never. No, I'm
Now,
sorry.
let me ask. Now, I want to piggyback on something a little earlier, as you talked about the infidelity that you was involved in. When you were cheating on the guys that you were dating, was it with women or was it with other guys?
Oh, that's a good question. At that point, I was not aware of my sexuality as being into women. So, yeah, I would do things like this. Like, I would sleep over a girl's house, and then one thing would lead to another, but I didn't intend to do it. It was
You
just,
didn't?
I didn't intend to.
Well, were you attracted? Come on, let's be honest. You were attracted to them.
I was attracted, but it's not like I went over.
Come on.
I had friends. Like, I didn't plan on creeping on my
Come
friends.
Come on, Raya. Come on now. You telling me you didn't have fantasies? You didn't have fantasies.
Okay, absolutely. I have fantasies,
Come
but
on.
What I'm saying is, I didn't have plans. I didn't have plans. So, listen, I didn't have no plans. But
that's hard to believe, but I'm gonna take your word for it.
Yeah, one thing will lead to another, and then next thing you know, I will be in a situation. And I'm the type of person, I'm very honest. So I have to tell. Like, anytime I ever cheated, I told on myself. I never got caught. I never got caught. I always told on myself. I always confessed.
So with the women that you kind of, like you said, the sleepovers and things like that, how did you know that they would be? Did you kind of wait to see if there was an indication that they're interested in those type of things?
Oh yeah.
Or okay, you look for cues.
Yeah,
to see if
cues. So I never aggressed anybody or went upon somebody like without their permission. A lot of times it would be them coming on to me. I think I gave off an energy where people could tell, oh, she probably likes girls.
Okay, so it was more like an unspoken thing, but we were kind of interpreting all the nonverbal communication, and they kind of figured. So it probably was a touch here. Let me do this. Let me give you a little neck massage. Different things, hands going everywhere, and before you know it, we didn't connect it. So that type of thing. Okay, I feel you on that. You sneaky.
No,
you're sneaky. That's what I see. I like that. You sneaky.
Never.
Yeah, you're sneaky. Hey, it's okay. Hey, whatever works. So, as I'm hearing you, because you're a very attractive woman, okay, and there are a lot of guys I could see coming up to you, approaching you, things of that sort. How are you? When let's say somebody cold approach you, okay. Mm-hmm. How do you respond to that? Whether it's from a woman or a man, if someone does that, being that they know nothing about you, your setup per se, but as far as how do you respond to someone potentially trying to date you or get to know you?
So, usually if I'm not interested, if it's a man and he cold approaches me, I usually just say I have a boyfriend or I'm married or something like that. That makes them get the hint. With women, I mean, it's a little different because it's hard to tell when a woman is hitting on you or when she just maybe likes your hair or likes your outfit. Right. Like, it's hard to tell. So I'm always very open and friendly with women. But with men, if I'm not interested, I don't shoot them down or say, oh, no, I'm not interested. Or, oh, no, you're not attracted.
You're not nasty with it. You're very polite with that. I have another situation and this is just,
Exactly. Because it's very
I would like. Okay. Yeah. So kind of talk to me about the qualities that you look for. And I'm assuming with men and women, you look for different qualities that could be similar qualities. So
Hmm.
kind of talk to me about the qualities that you look for in a man, qualities you look for in a woman.
Okay, so for the qualities that I look for in a man, I appreciate traditional masculinity in a lot of ways. I
Okay.
want someone who wants to protect, who wants to provide, who sees that as their job, and who doesn't feel resentful about being expected to do those things. I want someone who is understanding, someone who doesn't care about what
Handles that business.
handles that.
He
Yes,
handles his business, right?
he has to
Right.
handle his business. He has to handle his business. He has to be mature. He has to be, as we said before, financially astute. He has to have all of these qualities. It's not going to be someone and I typically date older men because I don't want to deal with any little boy shit. Like I can't deal with it. Like I need somebody who is mature, who is, as you said, about their business, and who is going to be that man. Now for women,
Right.
I prefer people who I can connect with more emotionally. This is why I said, like, you're not going to find all these things in one person. You're not going to find a man who's strong and who is solid and who doesn't allow his emotions to affect him. But then at the same time, he's going to be this super emotional, lovey dovey person. That's a lot to expect from one man. You know what I mean?
Right.
So from a woman, I expect someone who is more emotionally intelligent, who is soft, who I can connect with on an emotional level, on a deep level, and who is beautiful, of course. And yeah, those are the different qualities that I prefer.
Okay, that's a contrast, and that I get that, and that's based on the things that you look for. So, in the polyamorous situation that you're in now, is this a long term thing, or this is something that could, let's say, a partner may leave, or
Okay.
is this, how does that work for you deciding, like, is this something that you're trying to have long term?
So for the relationship with my primary partner, who is male, that has been long term and is long term. We have been together for nearly 4 years now. And yeah, it's a very strong relationship. As far as the two ladies that are in my life, that is a little bit more casual. And one of them may leave, one of them may. I'm still looking
Oh, so
for.
okay, you said two ladies. You kind of caught me off on the two ladies. I thought it
Yeah,
was just one lady. So there's
no,
actually four people involved.
yes.
Okay, so wait a minute, because now, okay, we're gonna have to do a second show of this
Yeah,
because
we
there's a
have
lot of
to.
things. Now, listen, now we're gonna have to set up another show, but you're talking. I thought it was three people, so you actually have two girlfriends.
Yes.
So are those two girlfriends connected? Is the other girlfriend connected to your male partner, or is that just something you're allowed to have?
Well, no, we're all connected.
Okay, so this is a okay okay, so this is a polyamorous situation of three women and one man.
Yes.
Oh, he got to be in paradise, right? Let me stop. Okay, but I'm because I'm getting ready to kind of because we're almost at the end of the interview, but that's a very unique dynamic of actually three women and one man. I know it could be common in certain circles that you may see, but I do. It's very interesting how you kind of departmentalize women and men and the things you look for, how you connect, things that you look for, and it seems to work for you. It seems like you're happy. You seem like life is great, and you're educating about it too, which I think is very interesting. So we're gonna go ahead and wrap it up. So kind of talk to me about, like, I talked about the long term. So this is a long term relationship, and potentially, if marriage does happen, it happens, or children. If it doesn't, it does. It does not.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Now, lastly, what I like to know, as far as you, what is it about Raya that men or women enjoy? Like, is there different things that they enjoy, or is there the same things that no matter where you go, both sexes say similar things as they regard? This is what Raya does for me. This is the effect that you have on me. Kind of talk
Yeah.
to me about that.
So yeah, no one ever asked me that before. That's a great question.
Yes.
So I feel like for both parties, men and women, they like my confidence. They like my outspokenness. They like my intelligence. Like both parties like that about me. I feel like with men, because I'm a little different in my interactions. So I feel like men appreciate my softness, my vulnerability, and I feel like women appreciate my strength. And that's what I feel like the
Okay.
differences are. Yeah.
Oh wow, that's interesting because
Mhm.
men see themselves as strong as strength, so they're not necessarily they're looking for the opposite, and
Exactly.
then for the women, they're looking for more of a stronger presence, and you provide that.
Yes.
So it sounds like to me when you're with a man, you're more feminine and softer. Not that you're not feminine and softer with women, but you seem to have a more dominant presence with women.
Exactly. Exactly.
Interesting. So, any last words before we wrap it up? This is a very, very entertaining, very, very insightful, informative. Because I didn't expect to hear more about as far as the polyamory aspect of it. Because that's great. So, any last words that you would like to say before we wrap up?
I would like to say if anybody wants to learn more about my polyamory, definitely make sure you hit me up. You can DM me on Instagram. My @ name is at the bottom of the screen. I always reply to my DMs most of the time. And if you want to learn how, if you're a man and you want to learn how to add a woman to your relationship or you want to navigate that, I can definitely help. And that's all I want to say.
Well, there's a lot of men to be interested in how they can manage multiple women that are into that. But again, first and foremost, guys, you got to have your paper right. You got to have your paper
Yes,
right.
have your paper right. And ladies too, because there are ladies that are also interested. Ladies who are interested in opening up your relationship, hit me up.
All righty. Well, I do appreciate you. And guys, again, this is Raya, and this is Coach D again, bringing another fly interview for everybody. Y'all have a great day. Peace.